Welcome to the Matt Waller Podcast, sponsored by NewRoad Capital Partners, where we look at success at the intersection of technology, logistics, supply chain, retail, and CPG, which we also call the retail value chain. I want to clarify that this podcast is distinct from my responsibilities as a professor in the Sam M. Walton College of Business. Nonetheless, it aligns with my aspiration to provide practical insights to professionals in business by showcasing companies and people that can enhance your ability to manage, lead, strategize, and market effectively in the retail value chain. Before we dive into today's exciting episode, I'd like to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to our founding sponsor, NewRoad Capital Partners. NewRoad Capital Partners invests in proven and innovative technologies, products, and services that serve existing and unmet needs in the marketplace. NewRoad partners with growth-oriented companies in supply chain and logistics and innovative consumer companies. As experienced entrepreneurs and operators, the NewRoad team prides itself on the high level of collaboration it brings to each of its investments. NewRoad's team of investment professionals and operating partners have deep, relevant investing and operating experience, including significant experience leading large divisions of enterprise companies and building businesses from scale to concept to realization. To learn more, visit newroadcp.com. I also want to disclose that I'm an advisor to NewRoad. I would like to take this moment to recognize podcastvideos.com for being our provider of podcasts. Their mission is simple: to streamline the process of creating podcast videos. They're equipped with industry-leading equipment and streamlined processes, and their studio and services save you time, money, and hassle. I'm very pleased with the services they provide me. Now, without further ado, let's get started with today's episode. I have with me today Tracy Black. Tracy served as Senior Vice President of Information Technology at J.B. Hunt Transport, Inc. from 1989 to 2017. In this role, she led a team of 800 people and managed a $70 million annual IT budget. Tracy developed a $98 million five-year modernization program to transform J.B. Hunt's transportation management system into a scalable cloud-based platform to support business growth. She also led a $500 million digital transformation strategy to build an online marketplace platform and grew that channel to over $1 billion in revenue. In my opinion, Tracy really gave J.B. Hunt Transport, Inc. a competitive advantage in the marketplace, and you're going to get to hear from her today. Tracy developed technology strategies to support all 5 business segments, including new business models that introduced final mile, agent-owned delivery model, pool point consolidation, and forward deployment capabilities, as well as the J.B. Hunt 360 online marketplace. She collaborated with the University of Arkansas to create an innovation center of excellence for machine learning and AI, and I was involved in those talks early on as well. It was very successful. Tracy currently serves on the boards of Pickup, MyCarrier, Emerge, and Platform Science. She advises companies on technology and logistics strategies to support growth and innovation. Tracy currently serves as partner at NewRoad Capital Partners, where she leads the team of operating partners and strategic advisors that work with NewRoad portfolio companies. Tracy also serves as the Endeavor Advisory Board, and she was recently named one of the top 100 women of impact in the state of Arkansas. Tracy has demonstrated strong leadership in technology transformation, innovation, and logistics. She has deep experience developing strategic partnerships and programs with startups, universities, and other companies. Tracy is also passionate about mentoring and developing top technology talent, and you're going to hear about that. In fact, today we're going to be talking to Tracy about her experience in implementing and developing technology in a big company. How do you make that work? How do you get that to succeed? What strategies did she use? We're going to be learning from her on that. But from her experience being on the board of a number of early stage companies, we're going to talk to her about what she looks for in early stage companies to partner with and invest in. And she also provides advice to founders in this vertical. Talent is such an important issue, so we talk with Tracy about how she identified great talent in IT, how she attracted them to companies she's worked with. And we also talk to her about advice she has for those wanting to advance their careers in big companies and even small companies. What lessons did she learn? And then we talked to her a bit about technologies and processes that she's passionate about and sees a lot of opportunity in the future. I think you're really going to enjoy this discussion with Tracy Black. Tracy, I'm so glad to have you here today. Of course, I've known you for a long time. You partnered with us when you were at J.B. Hunt for many years. But before we get into specific questions about what you're doing now, I would like to talk a little bit about a news item. I know that you were chairman of the board of a company called Pickup Now. And there was news that came out yesterday or day before yesterday saying that Pickup Now is merging with Connecticut-based point pickup technologies to create a national on-demand last-mile delivery provider for retailers. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's a really great event for the industry. We invested in Pickup because they were a national provider of big and bulky services. So they would deliver things into the home like mattresses or Peloton workout equipment. And they really were, had a specialty in that area, had great net promoter scores. And we really saw that as a unique proposition. And now merging with Point Pickup, they have technology to support 30-minute deliveries. They do small parcels. They do grocery. And so the combination of the two will make a comprehensive final mile delivery solution for our customers. So it's pretty exciting.
Well, it sounds exciting. And, you have over 30 years of experience in logistics and supply chain technology, including 28 years leading IT at J.B. Hunt. What are the biggest technology trends you've seen transform the industry during your career? And what do you see as the next big opportunities?
Yeah, I think in the past, at J.B. Hunt, it's such a low-margin industry in transportation. There wasn't a lot of investment in technology, and I think cloud computing really changed that. It gave the opportunity to be more flexible and get to some new innovative solutions with utilizing the cloud to stand something up quickly. I think it enabled a lot of new startups in the industry to develop those solutions and get to companies like J.B. Hunt. But it also kind of started the implementation of API connectivity. So it enabled more connectivity across the entire supply chain. So getting more real-time data between, the freight providers and the shippers really kind of transformed things. And I think maybe the other thing was just the evolution of mobility. Like that really changed quality of life for a driver. Being out on the road and then being able to have technology outside of the truck, not just like in the in-cab solutions. But I think what I'm most excited about going forward is artificial intelligence.
We hear a lot about that.
It's been a buzzword for a while, but I think it's really happening now. It's kind of started with humans in the loop and kind of being beside utilizing the insights that the AI is providing. But I read a report by McKinsey recently that said AI is going to create a whole new logistics paradigm by the year 2030. So usually logistics transportation is usually a little lag behind. but I think over the next 5 years, it's expected to grow like 60%. And we're starting to see, a lot of the startups that we look at have pieces of AI embedded in their solution. That's kind of on the front ends of really usability of an AI solution. But it's I'm advising all my portfolio companies, if you don't have an AI strategy, you need to create one now. You need to figure out when is the right time for your solution and what pieces of that need to be incorporated for your product.
I would say that's true for people too. I mean, I downloaded this app called Poe, P-O-E, and it gives access to, you have to pay for it. I think it's $20 a month, but you get ChatGPT, ChatGPT-4, Claude Plus, Claude Instant. I can't even remember the name of the Metas, the new Meta one, Google Palm. I think there's like maybe 10 of them, but it's called Poe. And I think not only do companies need a strategy, people need a strategy.
I'm hearing that, we will have to adapt and get used to having like an AI co-pilot in like almost everything we do.
When it first came out, especially ChatGPT, this was before ChatGPT-4, the first application I used it for, other than for fun, that there was a policy we had in the college I felt like people weren't following properly, department chairs weren't, and I copied it into ChatGPT and I said, turn this into a check sheet. This was like three single-spaced pages, and it turned it into 5 checkpoints. And I read them and I tweaked it a little bit, but I thought, yeah, this summarizes it. And if people followed these, they'd follow the policy. But that was the first practical application I used. But at that point, I realized, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
It's just how to make you better. And a lot of people are, is AI going to kill civilization? and I'm on the thought of it should be used to just elevate everybody and make everybody better. I'm also having conversations, with a lot of technologists about like how they need to change their user interfaces. This whole natural language model, and how you make it simple and how you allow people to get access to it is going to be kind of a new paradigm in design too, I think.
Did you read that article by Mark Andreessen? I don't know if it's called How AI Will Save the World. It's 7,000 words. It's too long in my opinion, but it's really good. But I think he has a similar kind of perspective that you do on it. Well, it's exciting times. So at J.B. Hunt, you led major technology transformation and innovation, including the development of scalable TMS, building an online marketplace, and enabling new business models. And I know I was always amazed when I was listening to you talk about what you were doing. What was your strategy for driving, significant change? And, what are the biggest challenges and lessons learned from that? And again, people listening, for those of you who are listening, what I just said, Tracy really led major changes and advancements. So it's hard to even imagine over her 30 years the kinds of things she's done. But I'd love to know. It's one thing to come up with ideas and come up with a plan, but you actually got these things implemented.
I think it really starts with alignment at the top. What is the expected outcome you're trying to get to? So you have to have your true north, because you can get bogged down in all the details and this new idea comes up or that new idea comes up, but you have to keep everybody focused on how that will impact the results you're trying to get to. And so we were also very disciplined about kind of time boxing and, the prioritization of what's the how do we get to the 80% result with the least amount of effort? And how can we phase in getting some results to get momentum to then let you, finish out the rest of the project? And so it took strong business leaders, across the company and the leadership team coming together to really drive that change. We always had a champion who is the one person who's going to wake up and think about this every day, who's going to be the focus to say this is what we're trying to accomplish and kind of get through the muck of the day-to-day stuff. So I think that's a lot of what contributed to success on some of the bigger projects.
We know getting alignment at the top, especially in technology, can be very challenging because, one, the top leaders might not understand the technology or the need for it. They may know the problem, right? But it's a jump. It's kind of like, I know the first time I read about ChatGPT, I struggled to think what I would use it for. Once I started using it, it was really easy to see.
Yeah, we did a lot of that too. Like each year we would have a technology fair, and we would have our development teams put together some little mini prototypes to kind of show, here's what's possible. And that really kind of generated some kind of confidence in the team, or, it generated the what's possible for people to think about. But it's really kind of putting it down into those use cases and doing some quick prototyping to kind of show what the possible is.
It's a good idea. But a lot of times I think people in technology start at a more abstract level because they're aware of what needs to be done. But if you approach leadership with those kinds of ideas, it's hard to make. It's
kind of like, if you're a SaaS company, a lot of that, like Salesforce was great at it. They had solutions engineers that went with their salespeople to meetings when they were trying to sell the product. And it's that solution engineer kind of role that does that translation that is so valuable.
Well, you serve on several startup boards. We just talked about one a moment ago, and advise companies on logistics and technology strategies. What do you look for in startups to partner with or invest in? And what advice do you have to founders in that space?
I think the first thing is the leadership team. That is the make or break of if this company is going to be successful. So from the time they're pitching to us, we always go on site. We always meet the whole team and we watch the interactions with the team. And, are they coachable? Are they looking for input to help? Do they have the right skill sets, or do they know where they're lacking and need to add? That's probably one of the most important criteria. Then we always look at, do they have an unfair right to win? And I'm on the board of Emerge. So it's a digital freight procurement platform. And when we were looking in that space, I probably talked to 40 different digital brokers. Everybody's pitching how they're trying to solve something. Here's their idea of how they're trying to solve in this space. And, I saw Emerge had an unfair right to win because they were focused on the shipper and the value to the shipper versus just, automating some tools for the carriers. And they had a bigger strategy to really change how freight is procured in the industry. And so once we saw this unfair right to win, we saw the founder had 2 successful exits before. He had put his own money in the company. He was passionate about really changing the industry. So, we have a weighting scale that we use. So every company we invest in, we go through and look at, the competitive landscape, what is the exit outcome? What's the likely strategic or IPO, or, what does that landscape look like? And then we rate all of them. And so we have kind of a benchmark to compare as we're looking at different investments, which ones rise to the top and which ones we spend the most time on. But then your second question, once we had invest, it's kind of the same as what I look for. My first advice is surround yourself with people smarter than you are. Mr. Hunt used to always say that. And so I think, knowing where you have skill gaps, making sure you're building out the right team to scale the product. And, it's often different. The skills that you need early in the company are different than the skills you need as you scale. And so people going into that, being aware of that and knowing when it's time to make change and when it's time to elevate someone at a certain role. If they think about that ahead of time, it can kind of ease transitions when that needs to happen. I think my last piece of advice might be around the financials. The people that get a CFO and show the unit economics, have the operational KPIs, the ones that manage their business by the data and know what they're trying to achieve are much more successful than the ones that don't.
Talent is such an important issue, especially in IT types of roles. And you built a large IT team at J.B. Hunt and have a lot of experience in mentoring that talent. What advice do you have for attracting and developing strong IT talent?
Yeah, that was always a hard job. Here in Northwest Arkansas 20 years ago was really hard.
Oh, I can't imagine.
It's a little easier now that, Northwest Arkansas is in the top places to live in the country, and the ecosystem has kind of expanded with the amenities and stuff, so it's a little easier to attract. But at Hunt, we paid kind of market salary. We were never top of the salary range. And so to attract people, you really had to go more to their interests. We had to lay out, here is your career path opportunity. We would spend time on, we developed a program to provide 2 weeks of ongoing training each year to a technologist, which technologists always want to expand their skills. They want to explore the latest and greatest technologies. We had a strong mentoring program. We had a leadership development program. And then working with the University of Arkansas, we really invested in our intern program and developed our own talent. But that took some time and effort. You had to have someone dedicated to that program. In that, we would put some cross-functional teams together, let them create projects. We had the teams present to executive leadership. And so having visibility to the people at the top often was they're like, oh my gosh, the president of Dedicated is listening to my idea. But it really, we did a lot of work investing in platforms to make sure people's ideas could be heard and that they felt empowered. So we would do hackathons, and then we would fund the projects that won to get developed into production. We had a company-wide initiative called Elevate that let people suggest ideas for improvement. And again, they could get funding, they could get to present in front of the leadership team. So it's really all about that culture and giving people the opportunity to explore their passions. And, we sold a lot of, here's what we're trying to do to change the industry, and you can come be a part of that change. A lot of startups ask about, do you do offshore? Because they're trying to manage on a shoestring budget, and should I use offshore resources? And we implemented an offshore development center when we were struggling to find talent. When it was so scarce for many years, and it was successful. But again, you have to put work into it. Like we treated our offshore team as if they were just one of our team. And we would over communicate on vision and strategy and kind of the results that were happening. And most importantly, we had a rotation plan. Their staff would come on site here for a few months at a time. We would put people on site there for a few months at a time. And it really kind of fostering that culture and community was a big part of making that successful as well.
You had a extremely successful career at J.B. Hunt, and starting as a programmer, and eventually becoming SVP, leading over 800 people. What advice do you have for people looking to advance their careers? And what are some of the biggest challenges and lessons from your own leadership journey?
The first thing I tell people is network. Learn everything you can about every different department in your company and understand what challenges they're facing, what they're trying to accomplish. I used to tell people, eat lunch with someone different in the lunchroom every day.
Smart.
Yeah. And not just internally, but then externally as well. If you went to IT user groups or forums or local meetups, then getting perspectives from how others are attacking those same kind of challenges and problems can make you more valuable in kind of bringing, those thoughts and recommendations back into your organization. I think one thing I had to learn over time is perfect is not the point. You have to, I always strive for excellence, and I was always, trying to be top of the game. But sometimes you've got to understand like what is good for your boss, what's good for your customer, and maybe not push too hard and create unnecessary stress within your staff by having too high of expectations. So that's one of the things that I had to kind of work through over time.
If you were to give advice to your younger self, just starting out in your career, what would it be?
I think it's okay to ask for help. I was always trying to be seen as the strong one who knew it all. And, the more you collaborate with others and ask for help from others and get those different perspectives and ideas, the better off you are.
And I think that's true in everything. There's so many things where I just was thinking about this a couple of days ago. There's a service provider I need to hire. And I thought, I'll do some research. And I did some research and I'll call this person, Then, in my neighborhood Facebook page, I typed in, does anyone know anyone who does this? And I got all kinds of advice from people. And I think I'm going to get a lot better solution as a result. I know that's trivial, but I think getting advice from people on everything that's significant helps, even if you're traveling. You can go online and learn a lot about, like if you're going to London, there's all kinds of videos on London. You could come up with a trip plan. It's probably a good idea. But it's not bad to ask people who have been that and that know you and kind of know your preferences. But it seems to be true in everything in life.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's, from a career perspective, it's just, I'm always a female in a male-dominated world. And so I think I put more pressure on myself to make sure I could say I'm equivalent here and I know what's going on. And so that probably prevented me from asking questions someone I should have.
So what types of opportunities in logistics and supply chain and technology are you most excited and passionate about now?
One of the things, we talked about in my role as partner, I really lead the rest of our operating partner team and our strategic advisors. And so we get together with operating partners twice a year, and we kind of map out the industry and say, where are the pain points? They're leveraging their networks of, execs at all the Fortune 500 companies, the conferences they're at, the boards they serve on, and they're kind of bringing to light, here's pain points people are having. And we map that out for our investment analysts to then go help us source, like, who's solving those problems. And so, we look at stuff from freight technologies like TMSs or visibility solutions, where a lot of fintech solutions are coming to play now that are being embedded into those different solutions. We're looking at asset light, like 3PL stuff, warehouse management. The e-commerce has driven a lot of changes. So there's a big need for reverse logistics now. And how are people solving that problem for the online returns? This year, we've really kind of introduced international, and we're starting to look at some of the international supply chain issues. And from a NewRoad perspective, we really invest in North America, but if there's a European-based company that's trying to bring their product and establish presence here that we can help, that's something that we would look at. And I'm hearing a lot of things around sustainability. People are having to track what their footprint looks like. What are they doing to try to address it? There's some different analytics platforms and things they can plug in. So our next session with operating partners is coming up in a month, where we're going to kind of go and readdress that. But in my role with these operating partners, like NewRoad is hitting their 10-year anniversary this year.
Congratulations.
And so we've been growing the investment team. We've added operating partners. And so now I'm really focused on how do we leverage that team to provide value to the portfolio companies to really create outsized returns. So we've had operating partners that are on the board of companies that we serve on. They help us source deals or help diligence it to say, is this solution going to work? And now besides just making customer connections and helping with the growth, we're getting involved in getting some discounts on vendor software programs that can be leveraged across the portfolio. I've started a Women in Leadership speaker series. So all of the women in our portfolio companies can get together and hear from some top executive female role models that are sharing their career advice, their journeys. We have Josh Jewett as a operating partner that was the CIO of Family Dollar Tree. And so he's been helping me build out a CTO summit. So we're getting the CTOs of all of our portfolio companies together to share ideas, and this product solved this for me, or this strategy, and bringing in speakers to help educate them. And so really, a goal of what can we do to help support these young companies as their maturing process and getting them more successful. And then from a technology background, data is becoming table stakes in the investment world. And so I've been leading a team to help build out a sourcing tool. So for a couple of years, we had to get processes standardized, collecting all the data. And now we're using a tool to scrape more sources, to bring in leads for deals we should be looking at. That factor table that I told you, where we would weight things, we're incorporating in the tool and saying, here's where analysts should be spending time. And then incorporating leading indicators to say, a lot of times we follow early companies for a year before they're ready for NewRoads to invest. And using this tool, we can see if something's happening with the growth or a trend in the market that says, we may need to accelerate and get back in front of this company sooner.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And we're looking at, portfolio companies we passed on and tracking their progress so we can see, did they do well Or did the reasons we passed, did that come to bear and they didn't do well? So then we can take that input and incorporate that into our investment thesis to say, here's what we should do next. So it's kind of I got to take my JB Hunt Tech experience and now apply it to this new world.
I didn't know that. That's very exciting. Well, Tracy, thank you so much for taking time to visit with me today about what you're doing now and your experience. Really appreciate it.
That's always great to talk to you, Matt. Appreciate you having me on.
If you're finding value in this podcast, we greatly appreciate your support by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Additionally, following us on Apple and Spotify and leaving up to a 5-star review would be immensely helpful. We welcome any feedback or questions related to the podcast, as well as suggestions for further topics and guests. You can leave your comments on our YouTube channel, and rest assured that I will read each and every one of them. Please also take a moment to check out our podcast sponsors, as they play a critical role in keeping this podcast running. For more information on specific topics, timestamps, or links to articles mentioned during the podcast, head over to mattwallerpodcast.com.